Yes, it is. Particularly on this rod.
Oh no, good thing you're in a hole.
Yeah, hopefully I can keep him in this hole. Thank you for guiding me. Now you know. Sorry? Thank you. And adjusting the weight. My first cast, it went under him. I saw it go under him, so I slid my weight up the line a little bit so it'd stay just a little higher. Yeah, you're welcome to come down here. Woohoo! White woolly bugger in the mouth. So you can see it on the camera.
What a nice fish. He just inhaled. Hold her up, let's get a picture. Wow.
That's a record for me on Tenkara. Oh yeah. Get back far enough you can see your Tenkara rod too.
Got it.
Beauty. Thank you. Woo! Thank you.
Yes, sir. Way to roll.
Woo!
Way to roll. That was sweet. Good job.
Thank you. Oh, you? Oh, yeah. Cool. Sorry, but you're on 1X here. You're not gonna bother me. I'm just gonna horse you right in. There you go. Get free. We're going to make short work of this one. If we can. Woohoo! Secondary fly or the one that's in his mouth, either one. There we go. Put him up. Off you go. Woohoo! Thank you. Beautiful fish. I've tried it. I've landed one about that size, but I've lost a lot of 8-10 pounders. They take off on you and it's just like bing! It's nice in a little hole like this. I'm sorry? Actually it's 1X. White woolly bugger. Thanks. Hello everybody. I shot some great video this morning of me landing some steelhead on a Tenkara rod, and I wanted to show what my rig was. So this is a Tenkara Rod Company rod, the Grand Teton. It's meant for big fish. As you can see, it's maybe 2 feet long roughly, and unlike most Tenkara rods, this one can go, from what I saw, up to 1X tippet. In fact, most of the fish I landed this morning were on 1X tippet. So at the bottom of my rig, I'll work from the bottom up, is a size 10 LO42 bi-gap egg hook, a trout bead that's held on by a toothpick. This has actually got 4X tippet to it. I didn't catch any fish on this morning, but it is sometimes very effective. And I tied onto the tail of a, I'm guessing size 12 maybe, beadhead white woolly bugger. Keeping going. Next is a, and this is on 1X tippet. There's a split shot, size B. And then a critical piece that I just started doing is a small swivel. And there's a couple reasons for this. If you watch the video, you'll see that one of the fish spun and spun and spun. Well, I kept my line from getting all tangled up when he did that, because there's a swivel in there. And I'll explain why I do some of these things here in just a second. Next is a chunk of aught X. These are all fluorocarbon Mirage tippet from Orvis, and a lock-on strike indicator. You can use whatever strike indicator you like. I just really prefer these. They don't crimp the line. And there's a small piece of something very heavy. I'm not quite sure what it is, but probably at least 30 or 40 pound mono with a loop in it. And then I use running line from some cheap fly line that I bought. This is a 1X fly line, but it's actually even the running line portion of that, so it floats, but not by a lot. As you can see, I've made some modifications to the rod. There's a couple of things I struggle with. I'm not a big fan of the little line winders that they give you or sell you. That I have Parkinson's, so my hand shakes, and it makes it very difficult to wind line on those small line winders. So what I came up with was this system, which is a couple of pieces of foam that have a piece of wire in them, electrical taped to my rod down near the handle and up near the tip. And then how a Tenkara rod works, there's a small plug in the end. Unfortunately, this style you have some advantages to Tenkara Rod Company lines too. They actually have a small swivel built into the tip of this line, so I'm spinning it. You can't maybe tell that, but this spins. There's a Lillian. This bright green piece of line is called the Lillian. It's got a small loop knot in it, and this is just an overhand loop on the end of my little piece of backing, actually, that I use to tie my line to the Lillian. And then you hold on to the first section of the rod, and you just kind of pull out, and you kind of lock the two together by pulling them together, and the next one, and the next one, and so on. By the time you're all done, you've got a 12-foot rod. I like to have the line shorter than the rod. So my actual fly line is probably almost 3 feet shorter than the line, so that down to my first fly is roughly the length of the rod. That makes it much easier to land the fish, also easier to cast. There's some disadvantages. You don't have the reach, but I much prefer it. So again, Tenkara Rod Company, sorry I'm backwards, but Tenkara Rod Company, the Grand Teton, which is their heavy duty fish rod, total of 12 feet long, Lillian on the end, small piece of backing, size 1 fly line, made a loop in that, did a loop-to-loop connection, handshake knot some call it, to a piece of heavy-duty mono. These are little line indicators, really not terribly useful today, but I use them for some other stuff. And the reason I have this set up the way I do, with about a 12-inch section, maybe 14 inches between the knot and the swivel, is so that I can adjust how far up and down my strike indicator is, depending on how much depth I'm trying to get out of the flies. And a small swivel, about 12 inches of line, in this case 1/0 or 1x, but it was pretty muddy today, or a little cloudy today, so I could get away with that. And I put a piece of split shot here, and again I can slide this up or down. So if I need it to sink a little faster, if I need the flies to sink a little faster, I move them closer to the fly and I move the strike indicator up. If I'm trying to get it to sink slowly, I can actually slide this weight all the way up against the swivel and the strike indicator all the way down against the swivel, and that'll minimize, essentially there's no weight now between the strike indicator and the flies. Beadhead woolly bugger, 4x tippet to a number 10 eagle claw LO42 wide gap hook, and a trout bead pegged on there. So I know it's useful when I see videos that have all this information, so I thought I'd share it all with you, just in case you want to set up your rig similar to what I do, or maybe you can learn something from this. Thank you very much. It was a great morning, and best of luck to you. Mention one other little trick. I like to use O-rings, are my preferred. I have a couple little rubber bands here as well, but I put 3 of them, 2 or 3, between the 2 winding stations, I guess I'll call them. And these are for hooking my flies onto, so that the hooks get buried up against the rod, so when I slide it into my back or put it into its little sleeve, that the hooks don't get hooked in any fabric. Thought I'd add that little step for you. Thanks. Bye.